nothando, masire, nothando.
Hello, I'm Tony Burrows. I'm 81 years of age.
Tony, I'm 14 years old. What did you do when you were 14?
When I left school, well, I went for a job, because then if you didn't get a job, well, I don't know about everywhere, but then if you didn't get a job, you were out. And my dad said to me, I left school about 3 weeks, and he asked me what I was going to do. So I said, well, I don't know. I said, I suppose I'll have to go down pit, you know, my brother. And if he was to let me go down pit. And then he got on to me about paying board to my mum. So I went to bed 3 or 4 weeks after, and I was thinking, what could I do? So I got up early one morning before they got up, and I packed a little case, once as big as that, and I put some pyjamas in, a jumper, and 2 pairs of trousers. And I went to Hull. I had some relations in Hull and went to Hull, and I called on them first, and one of their lads he'd been in the Merchant Navy a long time. And I was asking him about it, and he was telling me, so I thought, yeah, that's for me. So I asked him how I went on, and he said, you'll have to go to office and register first, and then you can get to know what ships are sailing, what's going out. So I didn't go to office straight away. I went into a cafe, and there was things going up in there what you should know about, to be honest with you. There was everything in there, and honestly it was terrible. And there were 4 big blonde chappies sat on the corner, and one of them come across, and he said to me, what are you doing in here? And I was cheeky then. Well, what's it got to do with you, like, you know? And he said, well, what are you doing here? I said, I want to try and get a boat with Merchant Navy. So he said to me, just a minute. He said, I'm going away, he said, and I'll be back. And I waited about an hour and a half, and he came back and he said, you've got a job. So I said to him, well, what do I do? He said, no, you're all right, we'll look after you.
You were only 14 years old,
yeah.
And you wanted to join the Navy?
Yeah. Because I asked if I could go to it, and that said no. And he said, and another thing, he said, you're going to have to start paying board. That was for my kids at home, you know. So I said to him, well, I'm not going in mill from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 at night. So he said, well, you better make your mind up. So I say, I got up a few mornings after, packed a little case, put some clothes in, and to Hull I went. Get to Hull and go to see this relation. And he told me what to do. And then I went into the cafe at Hull Dockside. And then from there, I went to the office. You had to sign on every time you come ashore or it was sailing, you had to sign at a boat, like, you know. And they asked me if I'd been to the sea before. I said no. only three have been in Batley Park somewhere. And up I went, and as I said, they were coming over there and going back with timber. And I got to Sweden, and then when I got to Sweden, the ship that I was on had to go in dock for the refit. So that means I had no job. I had another ship to get onto until I went to sign up. And I went to sign up, and I asked him if there was anything going. He said yes. He says, how would you like to go to New York? And I thought, New York? Where is that, you know? And anyway, I went on that. I went to New York. And then when we got in New York, come back on the same boat, and you didn't, the dockers were loading the ship, you didn't have to sign up. Well, I kept signed on, and then I got a bit fed up, like, you know. And by the time then I'd been to Sweden and New York, I was nearly 18. And I come home on leave. And when I get home, the calling up papers were there. Because then you had to go in army when you was 18. You had no option, you had to go. If you didn't go, you got treated as, what they call it, conscientious objector in the face of the enemy. So I volunteered to go to Korea.
So Tony, when you were 14 years old, you left your family and your friends behind. So how did that make you feel when you left everyone behind?
Well, yeah,
It's okay, take your time.
it was one of the live kids. And I felt as though I was wanted. Nobody wanted to know about me. And even when I went to join Merchant Navy, when I got there, I didn't think at all of getting a job. And it was one of these men, these that were suffering the crappy that got me the job. And as I said, I was going to Sweden, and I went to Sweden and coming back, and then I went to New York and come back. And by then, we had a few stops, you know, different places, and by then I was 18. And they sent for me for army, because everybody had to go then. If you didn't go in army, a lot went to pits as well. Then that one medically, you know, right for army, had to go to pits. And I couldn't go to pit because they hadn't let me, so that was the main reason I went to join Merchant Navy. It was a good job then. There's no Merchant Navy now. There is, but they're very far and few between. So I stayed there till I was 18, and like I said, I went home on leave, shore leave, and I got home, and when I got home, my mum said to me, there's some papers here for you. And they want me call-up papers for the army. I was 18 then. So off I went to the army. Well, yeah, I had to go, you know. Every person had to go, but it was just after the First World War, Second World War rather, sorry. Second World War, and everybody had to go. So I went to the army, and yeah, done 6 weeks training, and then the battalion I was in Kumon Y'all Light Infantry, they'd just come back from Malaya, and my cousin was in that battalion, and he said to him, what are you going to do, Tony? I said, I suppose we'll have to go to Germany with battalion. So he says, oh, you don't want to go there? I says, why? Well, with them coming back, they've been fighting in the jungle, and with them coming back, oh, it was polish this, polish that, paint this, paint that, put brass on that, brass on this. And I said, oh, I couldn't stand that. So he said, what are you going to do? Well, 2 days later, there was a notice come up on the notice board asking for people who would like to volunteer for career. So I went and volunteered for career. I hadn't a clue what career was, I hadn't a clue where career is. And I went and volunteered, so about 4 nights after, get you all on parade and they call my number out, you know. And we got kitted out and off we went. Well, when I got to career, I thought, what have I let myself in for? And then when I got to career, I had to go to a battle school in Aramiura. That's in Japan, Aramiura. And I had to go to battle school. I went to battle school, done this test on battle school, like, you know. And then they sent us back to career. Well, it was straight. Then they just got over the Indian, what they call the Indian River. The Yanks were stuck, they had nowhere to go. They were in the sea practically. And from there, they started a big push. You know, that's advancing forward. They started a big push. And they come one day and said, the officer come and, oh, he'd more medals and more blades on his hat and everything. And he come and, now then he says, he read his names out, you're going on patrol tonight. So I thought, oh, that's all right. And then he came back about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, I want all your personal belongings. Collected men, all of them. So this other lad who I got pally with, I said to him, I said, there's something funny going up here. So he said, what do you mean there's something funny? I said, I want you taking this personal belongings. All you were allowed to keep was your dog tags, you know, with your name and number on. And we handed them in, then we found out it was a patrol of 22 people. And we get as far as Indian, well, in Zimbabwe, part of the sea practically, but this was like off from the sea, it was like a canal, you know. And we got there, but what we were supposed to do was get behind the enemy lines. And they thought there was a new battalion that moved up, Korean battalion that moved up with Koreans. And we're supposed to get behind there and lay there for 2 days and 2 nights and try to grab a couple of prisoners and bring them back. Because British intelligence didn't have a clue who they were. Anyway, we never got there. We got as far as the river. And what you do when you're on patrol, if there's 22 of you, 12 of you, 22, 11 of you will go across first while they give covering fire for you, in case anything happens. And when you got across, you'll give covering fire for them that's coming across when they're laid in paddy fields and mud and all that. And gets across, and well, it was like Guy Fawkes night. It was terrible. And I lost 3 mates, well, we were all mates, like, you know, but I lost 3 mates in that river. We got killed. And I get to the other side, when I got to the other side, they opened fire again, and I got shot in the legs. So I thought, no, you won't do enough. So I got my field ambulance out, put my field ambulance on, and I laid in the rice field all night, under the paddy bun. I don't even know what paddy buns are. The grow rice and paddy buns, what they walk on to get to different patches of rice field, you know. And it was like that, and I got in there. And I laid there, well, I sat there all night, you know. And then next morning, when it was daylight, I thought, well, I'm going to have to get back and make my road back. So I'm making my road back. And what happened? I got captured. I got captured and I was lucky, to be honest with you. The North Koreans didn't believe in taking prisoners that were wounded. For simple reason that there'd been a job getting them there and they'd had to feed them. And I just don't know why. I went, you know, I got taken prisoner. And when we just start with the march, it was about 25 miles from the nearest prisoner of war camp. And off we went. Well, I got stretchered most of the way. And when I got there were loads of Americans. And there were some British out at the horses. And as I said, when I got there, they were just treated like a prisoner of war, you know. If they wanted to know anything, they'd knock you to death, kill you. And you just have to make the best of it. Well, I settled down quite good, to be honest with you. And I was there 2.5 years in prison of war camp. And then there were peace talks going off in a place called Kumon Y'all. And they decided that if the British or American troops had I gone into North Korea, it wouldn't have made a bit of difference. It would still been communist country. So they decided they'd have a ceasefire. So they had this ceasefire was passed and all that. And I got released, well, 7, 8 months after I got released. And they didn't tell you were going, you know, you were getting released, you just took your lorries and that was it, you was off. And they took me to Tokyo, and they were all French Canadians that worked in there. They were all in Army, Air Force or Navy or whatever, you know. They were nurses and they were, you know, only people to take you about and all that. They took me there and debated me up a bit. And then one morning, there was a chap sat next to me in the bed, and he never spoke a word. And this French-Canadian nurse come and I said to her, "What's wrong with that chap in that next bed to me?" She said, "He can't talk." So I said, "Well, why can't he talk?" So she said, "He's been shot, and he's been shot through the neck. And it's gone through his vocal cords." And we got me right. And then the French Canadian nurse come on one afternoon, and she said to me, "How are you feeling?" I said, I'm not so bad." So she says, "Well, I'm glad about that." I said, "So why?" She said, "Because there's a plane going in 2 days' time and you're big booked on it." So I said to her, I "Can't go up yet." So she says, "Why?" I said, I haven't got any presents." So she said, "Oh, that's some good, is that?" And she put me in and took me down shopping and that, you know, and I got some presents. And as I said, the plane was going in 2 days, and we got on the plane and we went to Manila in Philippines. Then from Manila to Singapore, and Singapore to Karachi, and Karachi to Boscombe Down. Somewhere down south it is Boscombe Down. And then from Boscombe Down, they took me to Netley Convalescent Home. That's Netley had a lot to do with army. It was like an army, run by the army and all that. And I went there and I was there about 8 months. And they said to me one night, "We're getting an ambulance for you." And they got me an ambulance from Southampton to King's Cross Station. King's Cross Station had to get a train. Well, I did, the military police, because of military police with you know. And I had to get this train at King's Cross to Leeds, and then from King's Cross to York, and from York to Leeds. And when I got off at, not Leeds, Wakefield Westgate, and when I got off at Wakefield Westgate, there was an ambulance waiting for me. And they put me in the ambulance, and these 2 military police were still with me all the way. and they put me in this ambulance and took me home. Well, when I got home, my dad was in the garden at the back, and my mum answered the door. And when I got in, my dad said, I don't want anything to say it, but he said to me, who doing here? I said, you know what I'm doing here? I said, I've just come home. So he said, yeah, he said, but we've got a telegram saying that I was missing in action, presumed dead. He showed me the telegram, I looked at it, you know, and I thought, it didn't say anything. And then from there, I was referred to Pinderfields Hospital in Wakefield. And I went there, I was going for physiotherapy and all that. And I went there, and this chap who was saying to me, called him Johnny Malpass. Well, he used to play for Wakefield, and he was physio for Wakefield as well. And he helped me to get, you know, better right, you know, I wasn't right, I've never been right since. You know, but, and then I went home and I did the most stupidest thing I've ever known. I got married.
How was it like adjusting back to normal life after you came back from the army?
Very hard.
How was it very hard?
Well, thinking all the time, you know, you're thinking and what's gone off and all this, like, you know. There's Johnny will tell you in general, they know because they've been in forces. And you're thinking all the time what's gone off, you know. And in fact, you can get what they call post-traumatic stress. That's all these soldiers, these forces people now that's getting it, like people from Afghanistan and people from Falklands and all that. There's a lot of it going up just at present. And that's all they do. You're thinking all the time, could they have done better, or could they have, you know, left them, or what. But the most stupid thing is, if anybody ever comes to ask you and say, have you killed anybody? Have you shot anybody? Have you blown anybody up? Now that's the most stupidest question anybody can ask you. For simple reason, if you hadn't shot them, if you hadn't blown them up, they'd have blown you up. It was simple as that. But after you start to settle down after, but it's hard. It's very hard.
You know, when you came back from the army,
Yeah.
how did you actually adjust back to normal life, as in your jobs and everything? Did you get a job or?
Well, I think I found it was very hard. So, what I did, I went back to the Merchant Navy. I was there 4 years before I went in the army, and then when I went back to the Merchant Navy, when I got back from Korea, I went back into the Merchant Navy and I was there 25 years.
What was the most interesting place you went to in the 25 years of your army experience after Korea?
I should say myself was Tokyo. And second to be America and Australia. Because sometimes when they dock, you don't get much time you don't get no shore leave. They'll unload the ship and load it straight back up again and you're going next high tide, you know. But I found it hard to be, you know, to adapt to normal life, but I mean, like in merchant navy or any of forces, you're not on your own. Everybody's knit together, you know. And then when I come out at merchant navy, well, I didn't know what to do, so I was getting a good pension. Well, I still do. I was getting a good pension from merchant navy, and I got a pension from army, and I've lived quite well, to be honest with you, since that. But then this happened to me. I had a stroke, and it's not very nice. Oh God, terrible, not very nice.
So, what do you think about the conscription being finished? So
What
now,
do I think about conscription being finished?
yeah,
The worst thing we've ever done in this country. Stop conscription. Worst thing they've ever done.
why was it so bad?
Pardon?
Why is it the worst thing they've done?
I don't. Well, as you know, there's a lot of people now. I mean, going in the army was something to look forward to, more or less, like, you know, or merchant navy or RAF or whatever. But now, since the stopped conscription, we've got no army. We've got no air force. They're all reservists. And a reservist, that means, well, I were a reservist when I come out of the army. You do so many years in reserve, and they can call you up any time they want. But if there's ever a war, another war starts again, they'll call them people up, and they haven't had the training. You'd only do a fortnight's training a year. And that's up on Yorkshire Moors somewhere, you know that. But it's the worst thing I've ever done, it's that national service. I don't know if you all agree with me, Gerald.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Tony.
Yes.
So, Tony, you know, from all of your experiences in life, what would you say is, what advice would you give to the younger generation that might be looking towards going into the army?
Well, as regards myself, I'd advise anybody to go to sea or join the forces. Because the way that lot's going on, them comedians in London, they're doing nothing, are they? You know, they're doing nothing. They're robbing the rich to give the poor, they say. But they're doing it opposite roads round. They're robbing the poor to give the rich, aren't they? And that's my... If I had my time to go start again, I'd do exactly the same thing.